thinks that the Industrial Revolution has created the technological, practical capacity for the elimination of the problem of scarcity, and that means that the real problem in establishing just, rational, free, in, again, the German idealist conception of freedom, free social relations, is the problem of distribution, is the problem of paying back to labor that which labor produces. Now let's take some extrapolations from these borrowings. Instead of making his main theme the thinkers in a given society, as Hegel does, Marx chooses an alternative set of people as the universal class, as the most important set of people in every society. Instead of focusing on the thinkers the way Hegel did, Marx is going to focus on the doers, the people who actually make the things that allow people to survive and exist, the ones that create the satisfaction of human needs. And this is the working class. For Marx, the working class is that segment of society that comes into being at the division of labor, who produce all the things that the people in the society need, but who get back only a fraction of what they produce. This is the idea of surplus value. This is an extrapolation from the labor theory of value that we found in the English tradition. The idea of surplus value is basically this: that all the things, well, it actually comes from, it's a way of stating what King Lear says to the fool, that nothing comes from nothing. What Marx is saying is that all the good things in human life come from work. None of them appear there magically on their own. You have to go get them. If you want a hamburger, you must make it. If you want something else, you must go get that. It involves activity, work on the part of human beings in order to satisfy their natural biological desires. So nothing comes from nothing, and what that means is that all the good things in life come from work, which is a fairly commonsensical idea, actually. The problem is this: in the earliest stages of human development, at I guess the hunting-gathering stage of human development, there is no division of labor. Everybody's just cruising around looking for roots and berries and whatever it is that hunter-gatherers live on. At some point in time, there's a break from that hunting-gathering tradition, and sedentary agricultural life develops. And one of the key elements in the development of human society and the development of human productive forces is the division of labor, which comes in very early in history. And what this means is that there is a hierarchical set of producers and exploiters in all human societies, from the earliest and most primitive division of labor on into the middle of the 19th century when Marx himself is writing. In other words, the division of labor is nothing new, as Adam Smith more or less suggests in his book. In fact, the division of labor is a very early thing, but because of the fact that it's not backed up by machines and technology, and of course since the market is so small, the division of labor can't continue on very far. What that means is that although the division of labor is very old, in terms of the increase in productivity that it creates, at least in its earliest phases, it's negligible. The really important part about the division of labor is the fact that it creates hierarchical social structures. Some people do the stuff that needs to be done in order to put food on the table and clothes on your back, and some people stand around and watch them. The group of people that do the exploiting, and what we mean by exploitation is taking from the socially produced goods and services that a society generates, taking what you need and giving back to the actual producers only a fraction. What the exploiters are doing in that activity is extracting what Marx called surplus value. The idea is something like this, because surplus value is really central to Marxism. The product of human labor is the total amount of goods and services that a society can generate. But the laborers in a society, after hierarchical social structures are created, after the initial division of labor, the laborers in a society, regardless of whether they're slaves or serfs or wage laborers, in every case, they produce everything that people live on. They produce all the goods and services because nothing comes from nothing. And at the same time, social relations are established, hierarchical social relations, in fact, that prevent the laborers from getting back everything that they produce. In other words, they produce 100% of the stuff that we have, and they get back something less than 100%. The spread or the gap between what labor gets back of its product and the total amount that they produce is called surplus value. The ruling class of every epoch skims off the cream of society's productivity and keeps it for itself without actually contributing anything to that productivity. They sit around and watch the slaves work. So the idea then is that hierarchical social relations, relations in this case of oppression, are built into every human society that has the division of labor, which is to say that oppression is a concomitant of the division of labor insofar as it allows the extraction of surplus value. What Marx wants to know, his primary concern then, is what is the fate of industrial society now that we are in the machine age, we're in the age of technology, which creates a new and unprecedentedly productive set of social relations. What sort of political or social hierarchy will be generated from that? And in addition to that, how should we think about this? Is it possible to improve the human condition so that we can eliminate the exploitation of one set of human beings by another? And what Marx wants to do, what he sees as